right, boys and girls, Homo sapiens of the Final Fantasy trading card game. It is I, New Never You, BGM, back in this thing. So, this is the full set reveal of Tears of the Planet, Opus 25 XV. I'm not gonna waste your time. Let's get into it because it's gonna be a long video because it's like 100 and some cards. So, let's do it. Hey, first one is the reprint of Ovalia Full Art. She is a 3-water backup. When category FFT forward you control is put from the field into the break zone, draw 1 card. This effect will trigger only once per turn. Special is Aegis, discard one of herself, and then Dollar, choose 1 forward you control. To the end of the turn, it gains haste, and when this forward is put from the field into the break zone, play this forward from the break zone onto the field. So this is pretty good. It is not stupid expensive, but it was a little expensive because this is a COVID set card. It did release with Opus 13, which is one of the sets that was affected by the train of COVID. But overall, this card is pretty decent. If nothing else, I mean, it draws you a card if a tactics forward goes from the field to the break zone. And then you can just really, essentially, if you know something's going to get broken that turn, you can just give it the Aegis and she just brings it back. So, pretty solid card all around, in my opinion. Squall, 4-drop fire, 8,000 power, forward. If either player has 2 cards in their hand, Squall gains haste. If both you and your opponent have no cards in the hand, Squall gains first strike, brave, and can attack twice in the same turn. When Squall attacks, deal 4k to all forwards your opponent controls. When Squall is blocked, deal 4k to all forwards your opponent controls. So, if there are no cards in the hand, he can attack twice, subsequently dealing 8k to all the forwards your opponent controls. And then if he's blocked, he does the same thing. So, if you have the combo of, let's say, what's his name? Jack Garland, the lightning one, which makes your opponent block. You deal 4k for attacking and then 4k for being blocked. Now, the attack's not gonna go through as far as damage, but you can essentially clear the field. You can get some crystals off of Jack, and it's setting up you for a pretty solid turn. But you have to have no cards in your hand, and your opponent has to have no cards in your hand. So the odds of that happening are very slim, but if they do happen, you better win. Let's just say that. Griever is a 6-drop ice, 9k forward. When it's put from the field to the break zone, you may search for 1 job witch and play it onto the field. Dull him, select one of the following 2 actions, choose 1 dull forward your opponent controls, break it. Your opponent discards 1 card. So this is decent. I'm not like, I don't really like high costed cards that it's 9k, so it protects itself from a lot of things. And I mean, if it's sent to the break zone, you get another card, and then you can essentially use it to make your opponent discard or blow up a card that's attacking. So he's good. I just he costs a lot, and there are things that essentially do what he does, maybe a little bit better. But if you can only play 3 of those and you need like a 4th or a 5th, you got Griever. So Griever's welcomed, and ice is one of my favorite elements. So new cards, we got Armstrong, which is a 2-cost fire monster. Dull, discard 1 fire card, choose 1 forward your opponent controls, deal it 5k. 1 fire CP, put Armstrong to the break zone, choose 1 forward your opponent controls, deal it 7. So you can essentially deal something 12k, or split it up and deal something 5, deal something 7. And if you're playing a deck that you benefit off of things going to your opponent's break zone, this card is pretty disgusting. And if you let's say have a bunch of cards that you could get rid of at the time, or a card that if it's discarded, you reap some form of benefit, that's there too. So this card's pretty solid. And it's also a monster. So if you're going to use another card we're going to run into later on, we'll talk about that. First full art from the new set is Iron Eater. When Iron Eater enters the field, choose one forward your opponent controls. If you have 5 or more job warriors and or warriors in your break zone, deal it 8k. This is decent. 3 drop fire, so I mean it's still in 8k, and if you're playing an all warrior based deck, this card's probably going off every time. And if you're playing 3, that means you got 3 shots of 8k. If it was on attack as well, this card would be dangerous and probably be a hero or a legend. But as it stands, this card is pretty solid in the warrior based deck. Outside of that, it's not going to be anything outside of an 8k body. But just because, you know, some things don't work in tandem with others doesn't make the card less of a good card than it is. So Iron Eater, pretty solid. Next we got Avalanche Member, and I'm not gonna say what element until the element changes. So, but it's a 2 drop, 5k forward. When Avalanche Member enters the field, you may discard 1 Category 7 character. When you do so, choose 1 forward, deal it 7k. So this is actually pretty good. This is good in a way where if you're doing a recursion deck with Final Fantasy VII, then you have that whole thing where you can send something to the break zone, and like, let's say if it's like a Cloud, and then you're double teaming with the Jesse and maybe Barrett or somebody else, you can bring the Cloud back, use Cloud's ability. He's already hit something for 7k. Jesse and I think Biggs makes it to where Jesse gets back Cloud, and then Biggs makes it to where that party can't be destroyed. So this helps facilitate a lot of things, and it also helps with the new Vincent card that came out in Opus 24 Hidden Legends, where the more you play Final Fantasy VII characters or forwards, the less he has to be warped. So he works with a lot of things. Specifically Final Fantasy VII decks, and as we can see, Final Fantasy VII is gonna get a lot of cards in this set because of Aerith's on the cover. Alright, another full art. We got Ifrit, and I guess Garnet's just gonna be standing with everybody. 4 drop summon. Before paying the cost to cast Ifrit, you can remove 1 fire backup you control from the game to reduce the cost to cast Ifrit by 2. Choose 1 forward and 1 other forward, deal the former 9k and deal the latter 4k. That's pretty good. This reminds me of that Bahamut that came out maybe 2 sets ago, where you blow up 1 for 8, or I think you blow up 1 and then you remove another one. Yeah, this card's disgusting. This card's insane. And it removes the problem of backups getting stuck in the way. So if you want to play another backup that has an on entry ability, you can now. So yeah, this is actually really good. This is actually pretty solid. So yeah, definitely a 3 up. All right, Ace. Oh, a new one. 6 drop. Goodness. 8k forward. The cost to cast Ace is reduced by 1 for each Class 0 cadet and or fire character you control. Dang, he can be played for free. At the end of each of your turns, if your opponent has received 5 points of damage or less, Ace deals your opponent a point of damage. Jackpot shot. 1 copy of Ace, 1 fire CP, and 1 random CP. Choose 1 forward, deal it 2k damage for each class cadet and or fire Class 0 cadet and or fire character. This card is stupid. This card is dumb. This card is so good for fire, and it's so good for Class 0 cadets. This card, I would say, is better than the legend that came out a couple sets ago, where he was a 1 drop and you had to, I think, remove 5 fires from your break zone, and if he attacked, he gained like 10,000 or something, or he dealt 10,000 to somebody. This card's insane. Yeah, and the fact that he's free, he can be free, because 6 fires and or cadets, you can mix match, and that's just insane. And he's always putting pressure on the board, and that's even if you don't have a cadet deck. Let's say you're playing 13, you play him. Let's say you play Fang, Saz, and Vanille first turn. Somehow he's gonna be a cost 3. None of them are attacking, but then the next turn you drop 2 cards, you play him, and he's you attack with Vanille, Saz, Fang, him, that's 4. He puts them at 5, and then if your opponent's so, oh my gosh, yeah, this is wild. And then if they do something like play something that's gonna wipe the field, dog, they can't even Amaterasu him because it happens at the. This card's so good. This card is it right now. This is the best card in Fire of this set so far. Cloud. Drop 5, 9k. When Cloud enters the field, select up to 2 of the following actions. Choose 1 forward, deal it 8k. Choose 1 monster, break it. Choose up to 2 cards in your opponent's break zone, remove them from the game. Draw 1 card. Play 1 category 7 character of cost 4 or less from your hand onto the field. This is good too. Especially since you can just play Cloud for free with the Jesse combo that I mentioned earlier. And if you're running 3 of these, just block with them once or twice, get them off the field, play them again, draw a card if you want, remove cards from the break zone, play another 7 character, choose a monster. I mean, he does so much, and it makes sense because it's Cloud. And fantastic art. You got Sephiroth in the background looking menacing. So yeah, whoever did this art, Miki Yamashita, yeah, kudos to you. This card's fire. No pun intended. Glenn, 8k soldier, 8,000. I'm sorry, 8 drop, 8k soldier. He has Brave. When Glenn enters the field, you may search for up to 2 job soldiers and add them to your hand. Then you may play up to 2 job soldiers of cost 2 or less from your hand onto the field. So if you are playing the Genesis reduces him by 3, making him 5. Somehow you get him out at 5. Genesis can either reduce another soldier by 3 or make your opponent discard, and I think it does something else. And then he brings out 2 more, which makes Genesis do that twice after. So he's good if you can get him out with that combo, but paying 8 for something like that is steep, especially when I don't think there's that many soldiers that cost 2. I think there's Matt and the other chick that her name eludes me at the moment. But I mean, he's good for soldiers, but unless there's something that's going to reduce that cost, then it's going to be a tall order. Security officer, 3 drop backup. When security officer enters the field, select one of the 2 following actions. Choose 1 for your opponent controls, deal it 5k, draw 1 card. Okay, so pretty standard fire type things. It's like they're giving Final Fantasy VII everything that a lot of other decks already have. A little burn damage here, draw a card, get your resources up. So I'm all for it. Slice, my favorite Class 0 cadet. 1 drop, 3,000. If you control 5 or more Class 0 cadets, Slice gains haste. When Slice enters the field or attacks, choose 1 for your opponent controls, deal it 3k. It's not a lot, but if she comes out at the opportune time, she's dealing 6K first turn she hits the field. She's pretty susceptible to a lot of things, but very cool card, very niche trick. And she usually has haste, so I like it. I'm gonna probably rock with it. I don't know when, but you know, she's my favorite, so I gotta do it for the gram. Salamander, 3-drop, 7K forward. He is also named Gutsko in all situations. When Salamander enters the field or attacks, you may pay 3 fire, 2 whatever else, or 2 crystals. When you do so, choose up to 2 forwards, deal them 9,000. Okay, these crystals are starting to become a problem because this is on entry and attack. So if you don't stop this by Amaterasu or some other means of stopping an auto ability, he's getting rid of something. And especially if you're running a crystal deck, 2 crystals is not a problem, especially not anymore. Especially if you're playing the Jack Garland plus some other things like Wall Trill that gets you a crystal at the end of each of your turn. You can do the Venat combo. I mean, there's so many things that, like, crystals are going to be the new monsters. Mark my words. And I told you monsters were going to be a problem, but now crystals are starting to just get out of hand. And this is a 3-drop, so this is going to be pretty easy to do. And it's going to be, I'm sure it's going to be searchable. So if there's ever a card that searches Gutsko or Gutsko, this is essentially always Gutsko in all situations. So just keep that in mind. Great card though. Deuce, 3-drop backup, class 0 cadet, EX burst. First EX burst we've gotten, I believe. When Deuce enters the field, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 job class 0 cadet among them to your hand, and return the others to the bottom of the deck in any order. So it's just a not a searcher, but pretty much a deck corrector. Gets the deck flowing a little bit, and I like that they use the new arts of the class 0 cadets. These models are pretty good. Treyway, 4-drop, 8K forward. When he enters the field, choose 1 for opponent controls. Deal it 2K for each job class 0 cadet you control. So him and Ace are like, they coming to clear the board, baby. They coming to win, and I'm all for it. Yeah, I like this. Palom, this is a boy for everyone that thinks Palom is a girl. Porum is the girl. Palom is the boy. Just wanted to clear that up. He is a black mage, 2-drop backup. Discard 1 card, choose 1 forward, deal it 3K damage. Or you can discard 1 card, Porum, choose 1 forward, deal it 7. In each instance, you do have to duel him. This is cool. This is definitely black mage support. So, because you can discard a black waltz 1, 2, or 3, and deal more damage on top of that. So this is good in more ways than one. So that's pretty dope. Volkir. He is a 7-drop warrior / mithril musketeer with 8K power. When he enters the field due to your cast, you may search for up to 2 job warriors and or name warrior and add them to your hand. During this turn, the cost required to cast your next job warrior and or card name warrior is reduced by 3. When a job warrior or card name warrior you control is put from the field to the break zone, choose 1 for your opponent controls, deal it 4K. So he can play Iron Eater for free once he plays himself, or once you cast him. So essentially he is free if you want to look at it from a mathematical standpoint. You pay 7 to get him out. He searches 2 cards. That is 2 for one, 2 for the other. That's 4, and then he reduces the cost of another card by 3. If you have a 3 cost, that makes 3. So you're playing him essentially for free because you're getting 3 cards, 2 on the field, and then 2 to the hand. So If you want to look at it that way, that's great. If you don't, he's just expensive and he can be Amaterasu'd and you get nothing. So obviously, just about anything can be Amaterasu'd. So don't let that be a determining factor on how you look at a card. But I just want to, give you as many scenarios as I can. All right, the house. This is a monster, 3-drop, 7k when it becomes a forward. Until the end of the turn, it also becomes a forward with 7,000 power. You can only use this ability once per turn. It costs nothing to do that. Damage 3 when it attacks, deals 3,000 to all forwards your opponent control, and then at damage 6 it does 5,000 when it attacks. So it would do 8,000 if it is at damage 6, because it would do 5 for the damage 6 and then 3 for the damage 3. So it's good to have protection, but it's bad that you're at damage 6. So great card as far as the effects, but kind of bad that it's going to be damage 6, because if you screw up, you've lost. Rubicante. I kind of already went over him in my other one, so I'm just gonna kind of skip over the ones I already went over. But he is an EX burst, works with Golbez, choose 1 forward, deal at 8k. I like him. The art's nice. The drip is cool. Red 13. Red 13 is a warrior with 3k, so he can work with Volker if you want. 1 drop. If Red 13 leaves the field, remove him from the game instead. When Red enters the field, choose 1 forward against 3k power until the end of the turn. Pay 2 fire CP. Play Red onto the field. You can only use this ability during your main phase if you control 2 or more 7/4s, and if Red is in the break zone. I don't like that he gets banished if he leaves the field. But I do like if you pitch him for something else, you can always play him if possible. So it has its conveniences and it also has its drawbacks, such as everything else. But yeah, this is okay.